Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Art on Blast podcast. This is a podcast for artists, for creatives, a safe space where you can collaborate, talk about your story, share ideas, some tips and tricks. This is a space where creatives just come and connect, where people share their real life stories and how they got to where they are. And really, we get to also hear some of the ups and downs, ins and outs of navigating your creative career. If you're a creative entrepreneur, this is a space for you. If you are just starting out in your creative profession or roles, this is a space for you. Dancer, singer, actor, designer, whatever you are, creative, creating things. This is the place and the space for you. It's a very safe space. It's a place where people are vulnerable. Sometimes they have guests who are big in the industry, and some people are still starting out. Some people are somewhere in between, and we need to hear all of it. Sometimes we see a lot of great things on social media, and everyone is showing the best things, but no one's really actually talking about what it took to get there. What it took to get there. How long did it take? What were your trials? What were your tribulations? Who was there to help? Because at the end of the day, with this creative journey, with this creative entrepreneuring thing and all things artists, you can't do it alone. It's not possible. And if you're saying you're doing it alone, you are lying. Someone there, if you're a rapper, guess what? I'm sure you have a producer somewhere in some studio helping you out. If you're a painter, someone is accepting your art in some art gallery. Someone is saying yes. Someone is saying yes to you. And yes, this is the space for those who just really are starting out or who are also deep benakant inside and you don't know what's going on. Or you know what's going on, you know what's up. This is a space for you where you get to also be encouraged, motivated, and share your story, share your tips. We want to know. And of course, how do you involve God in all of that? That's the space for you. This is the space. This is the place. You know it. So yes, I'm your host, Nonkululeko Mashiyi. I am a creator, director, designer, and I am all things the lover of art and creativity. And I love Jesus. Yes, I love Jesus. And yeah, I am also in the creative spaces, but also in different spaces that are very different and different seasons. So yes, that is me. And in this episode, I am your guest. Yes, that is right. Your guest. I am blessing you with my words. I hope I get to bless you with my words. Ooh, yes. And so today we're going to be talking about leap of faith. Wow. Taking that leap of faith. I think a lot of creators would say that a lot of the times they're consistently taking leaps of faith. I think so. Whether it's you taking that leap of faith to enter in that talent show when you were younger, or when you decided to, I don't know, sign up and get funding for a project, takes leaps of faith. And a lot of the time you're going to consistently in your creative journey you're going to consistently have to take leaps of faith. And yeah, it is not easy. Sometimes it's not clear. But most of the time, God is always asking us to take the leap of faith in whatever it is that He's calling you to. So that's what we're going to be talking about. If you're an artist, if you're a painter, if you're a dancer, chances are somewhere in your career, if you have not started, soon you're going to start, or you better start taking leaps of faith. And so we are going to start. There it is. We are going to start with, I just typed in leap of faith. I'm a very simple human. Well, I'm not simple, but I love simplicity and straight to the point certain things. So when I want to understand something, I usually just go straight to it and say, okay, leap of faith, Bible verse. That's what I typed. And there's a lot of verses in the Bible about faith, but I really wanted the word leap, or not even just the word leap in it, but just the whole idea of leaping of faith. And so looking at 2 Corinthians 5 verse 70. 5 verse 7. Sorry about that. NIV version. The essence of taking a leap of faith. And I guess this is just a rounding up of this verse, but essentially it's just it's not really the verse, but it's just summing up what is a leap of faith, the definition of it. But I'll first give you the verse, which it says, we live by faith and not by sight. Very simple, straight to the point, clear. That sentence is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters, 7 words long. That sentence, 7 words long. We live by faith and not by sight. Sometimes we just need simple, clear statements to help us understand certain things. And so that's what it is. Leap of faith is you living by faith and not by sight. But I decided to go to Google and try and understand it just on a general overview, very high level view of what does leap of faith mean. And so this is just from I think it's, I don't know if it's an article or what, but I like what it says. And it says, the true essence of taking a leap of faith means not knowing the exact outcome of the decisions we make, but trusting that God is calling us to indeed make that decision. When we trust to go where the Holy Spirit guides us in spite of the fear of the unknown, we are taking a leap of faith. I liked that. It's not really in the Bible verse. It's not really in the Bible, but I like that description of what leap of faith is. It's trusting that God is calling us to indeed make that decision. Now, I want to highlight that part. Trusting that God is calling you to indeed make that decision. And I'm highlighting it because this is where I was also at some point where sometimes you're asking God, sometimes God is calling you to something, but you find yourself trying to ask God for confirmations. And guess what? God can be very gracious in actually giving you those confirmations, just like in Gideon and many people in the Bible. Not in Gideon, but just like Gideon in Judges, he allowed these confirmations to actually happen. But the problem is that sometimes that can also be a little bit of analysis paralysis. And at some point, when it comes to leap of faith, you're just going to have to leap. And at some point, when you're constantly asking God for confirmation, you're waiting for that big aha moment. I don't know what it is really. And God really does give you confirmations, but you still want to ask God for confirmations and more and more and more. Maybe the issue actually is not that you need to be confirmed. Maybe the issue is that you actually don't trust that God is indeed asking you to do it. Maybe you are feeling some type of way in believing that God actually did speak. So it's quite interesting. It's almost like you have to have the leap of faith to do that thing that God called you to do, but also you must have the leap of faith of trusting that God really did say that God actually is speaking. And that's where I found myself. God convicted in that area, where you're asking for confirmations, and you receive them, but you actually are not still moving or believing or trusting, because maybe, just maybe, you actually are shaky in believing that God actually did speak, or in believing that, or trusting that what God is saying is actually the best option or the best decision or the best direction. Sometimes you're wondering, oh my gosh, did I really hear that? Did God really say that? And you'll never know. The sad thing is that you will never know until you actually take that leap of faith. I realized that in the times where, especially with creative projects, the times where, especially when I didn't know, and you're sort of at that middle ground where it's like, you either do or you don't. You receive the confirmations and it's time to now do. The only way you'll actually find out if God actually did say that, if it really was the best direction or the best path for you, is when you actually do something. And truly, most of the time when I actually did take that leap and just go, yeah, jumping right into that water, the confirmations, or the, not confirmations, even the affirmation that God really did say, they finally actually transpire. There is a fruit that is produced that says, yes, believing me, trusting in what I said you must do, look what it's actually producing, And it's quite interesting that you have to sort of trust. It's like it's two leaps of faith that you have to make, two leaps, sort of. There's the leap in believing that God said it, but also the leap in actually doing the thing. So it is something interesting that I had, that I was convicted about, that do I believe that God actually is saying that? It takes a leap of faith to believe it. That the Holy Spirit did say that. You do have those moments where you are insecure. You're not even insecure, but you are wondering, pondering, if that was you or the Holy Spirit. The only way you find out and confirm is actually leaping. And I wanted to look at the definition of leap itself, because I like to go down a rabbit hole when I am convicted or I'm encouraged and I really believe that the Holy Spirit is speaking. Yeah, I go down a rabbit hole and I love it. So I always go to the basic, to the core of it. So instead of just the leap of faith, I went in to look at the word leap. And this is what it says. Jump. Okay, this is the Google version. I don't know if it's Oxford. I don't know if it's... I just typed leap in Google. And this is what I said. It said jump or spring a long way to a great height or with great force. I'm going to say that again. Jump or spring a long way to a greater height. So let's highlight this. If there's a springing or there's a jumping, and then it says a long way, meaning there's a distance now to a greater height. Now it's no longer just distance, but there's also height involved here. Now we're not just, it's far and high and with greater force, or with great force, and now with more energy. Jump or spring a long way to a great height or with great force. When it comes to the things of God, there's going to be a path to take, the long way, the distance to a greater height. Chances are the things of God, or the things that God called you to, is going to take you to another level, glory to glory. And this is how I'm perceiving it. Greater height or with great force. But most of the time, when it takes the leap of, when you are taking the route of taking the leap of faith, it does require more from you. It would require more, such as prayer. It would require more of your work, of you having faith in God, you being reliant on God. There's a great force. And that's how I look at this, that, jumping jump or spring a long way to a great height with a great force. That when you're leaping, there's an additional amount of energy or force that is required. And I truly do believe a leap of faith would require you to be jumping or springing a long way to a greater height with the Holy Spirit, to be empowered. And the other definition after that was move quickly and suddenly. Now, for those who have been in the journey of walking with Christ, would know that there are seasons that are very quiet, They're very quiet. It's very, sort of just, it's peaceful. Sometimes not, but it's just, but we also know that there are seasons that God has called us to. It's just like, it's a lot. It's busy. And I remember, I think it was the pastor who once said that it's almost like dancing. Sometimes it's like a slow pace with God. Sometimes the journey with God can be slow paced. And then all of a sudden now it's quick, go, move. And so it's just that reminder that when I look at that definition, move quickly and suddenly. Sometimes I do believe that when it comes to you moving and transitioning into a new season that would require you to move from a leap of faith, those seasons would need you to move quickly. And sometimes things can happen suddenly, that there's a reawakening, there's something happening in your season, or there's something happening in your creative space that would require a quickness and a suddenness, because God can do anything in any time, at any pace. And most times with the leap of faith, God requires your obedience. Most times God requires obedience, and there needs to be a quickness to your obedience, because at the end of the day, we should be having holy fear that we are only truly wanting to please God in whatever season we are in. And so this leap of faith is not just about going from glory to glory, going to greater heights, but it's actually being obedient to God with the quickness and suddenness. If He says do something, it's let's go, And so that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to speak about leap of faith. There's so much to go into this, but it's sort of like two leaps of faith. The leap of faith in believing that God actually spoke to you, and the leap of faith in actually doing that which He has called you to do, that He has spoken of over you, allowing the Holy Spirit to actually move through you. Understanding that with the leap of faith is actually obedience to God. It is actually obedience to God, that it is to please Him is your main priority. It is your main priority, and taking that leap of faith, especially when it is in the things of God, is truly being obedient to Him. Staying back and being scared and wondering if it is the Holy Spirit, wondering if it is God, and seeing all these confirmations but still wondering, that is this delay. That's delaying obedience, and it's still disobedience. And that in itself is wrong. So yes, as creatives, let's be obedient. Let's leap. Let's take those leaps of faith with the Holy Spirit, empowered by the Holy Spirit. Do it afraid, they say. Do it with the Holy Spirit. That's what I would say. It's not on you. It's on the Holy Spirit. But believe that God said it. Truly believe that God said, and believe the confirmations as well. If you are lucky to have received confirmations, believe them. Amen.